Tom Aspinall has officially fired back at Dana White's recent comments following the UFC 321 controversy. After the eye poke incident that forced the fight to stop, Dana implied that Aspinall should have continued, but Tom has now responded publicly, and he did not hold back. He explained exactly why he made the decision to stop and how serious the situation is, while also calling out Cyril Gane for what he believes was intentional foul play. Aspinall revealed that his vision was severely compromised after the double eye poke. He emphasized that fans and critics don't understand the magnitude of the injury. At the moment, he is not sparring, not training, and not doing any form of MMA work. Doctors have ordered complete rest, and surgery is still a real possibility depending on how the injury progresses over the next few weeks. That instantly shuts down any idea of a quick comeback. According to Tom, continuing that night was not only unrealistic, it would have been reckless. He compared the situation to previous injuries he has fought through. He referenced his fight with Andrei Arlovski, explaining that Arlovski punched him directly in the eye at the end of the first round and he fought the rest of that bout with limited vision. But in that case, Aspinall stressed, it was caused by a legal strike. Fighting through pain or impairment from legal contact is part of the sport. But in this case, he had double vision in both eyes because of a clear foul. In his own words, no responsible athlete would continue under those circumstances if they cared about their career and long-term health. Aspinall then addressed Cyrl Gane bluntly. He said the poke was not a freak accident, insisting that Gane had his fingers extended toward his eyes repeatedly throughout the round. He labeled Gane a big cheater, accusing him of constantly pointing his fingers at his face until the foul finally happened. That accusation has ignited major debate across the MMA community, with fans now demanding a rematch more than ever. Many believe the matchup was highly competitive before the foul and did not resemble Tom's usual first-round dominance. For Aspinall, the situation comes down to one principle. He refuses to be criticized for protecting his health when an illegal move took away his vision. He made it clear, he will never risk permanent damage for the sake of optics or public approval. The priority is recovery, clarity on whether surgery is required, and then the right fight on the right timeline. Michael Chandler has officially confirmed that the long-awaited fight with Conor McGregor is finally locked in. According to Chandler, the bout is scheduled for June 2026 at the historic White House event, which will be broadcast live on CBS. He emphasized that there is no uncertainty anymore, the deal is signed, sealed, and delivered. If everything proceeds as planned, Chandler believes this event has the potential to become the most watched UFC card in history. UFC President Dana White is reportedly going all in on production and scale. The event is planned to take place outdoors regardless of weather conditions, and behind the scenes, budget estimates are already skyrocketing. Current projections point toward over $20 million in production alone, on par with or even exceeding the cost of the UFC Sphere event. Everything indicates that the UFC is aiming to create a show that pushes the boundaries of what combat sports entertainment can be. However, insiders caution fans not to expect an Avengers-style supercard stacked with every dominant champion on the roster. According to early reporting, the UFC is focused on assembling a lineup packed with major names in high-profile fights rather than loading every champion onto a single card. The idea is to bring together stars who drive numbers, athletes like Conor McGregor and Kayla Harrison, rather than stacking Jones, Makhachev, Topuria, and every belt holder on one night. It will still be massive because of the location, the production scale, and the McGregor-Chandler headline, but it is not being built as a champion-overflowing spectacle. Chandler also addressed fan reactions regarding why he didn't call out McGregor at his most recent appearance. He said there was no point in doing so because the call-out had already been done, and the deal had been finalized months ago. He reminded fans that he has called out McGregor multiple times in the past, and continuing to do so would not make sense once the contract is already in place. Chandler shared that McGregor has already begun training specifically for him, even bringing in sparring partners who mimic Chandler's style. For Chandler, the fight has been real and inevitable since June 2024, and both men are committed to making it happen. He closed with full confidence and respect for the moment ahead. June 2026, Conor McGregor, the White House event. Chandler stated that he is ready to compete on the biggest stage the UFC has ever created, and he intends to rise to the top when the world is watching. Ever since Michael Bisping revealed insider information about Khamzat Chimaev's sweet tooth and discipline issues, the MMA community has been in non-stop debate. On his YouTube channel, Bisping claimed that people close to Chimaev practically have to supervise him during training camp because he will sneak candy bars even when a major fight is only weeks away. According to Bisping, teammates once opened Chimaev's drawer and found nearly 20 candy bars hidden inside. When they reminded him he had a massive fight coming up in 2 weeks, Chimaev simply laughed. Despite that, he still entered the octagon and won UFC gold, going 5 rounds with Dricus du Plessis. But that victory didn't end the conversation, it started a new one. Many fans and analysts argued that the du Plessis fight didn't erase concerns about Chimaev's gas tank. They pointed out that DDP spent most of the bout stuck on his back rather than forcing Chimaev into a punishing pace that would reveal whether his conditioning could truly hold up. Even now that Chimaev is champion, the question remains. Can he sustain discipline and conditioning when every challenger will be preparing to push him deeper than ever before? Chimaev responded dismissively to the criticism, saying he doesn't care about what people say or about any of the gossip surrounding his lifestyle. However, Joe Rogan later reacted to the situation on his podcast, sharing his perspective on discipline in combat sports and whether Chimaev's habits can survive at the top level. Rogan acknowledged Chimaev's unusual intensity and talent but emphasized that discipline is not just an expectation for champions. It is a necessity. Rogan explained that discipline in sports is an art. For him, watching someone dedicate themselves fully to the grind, the way David Goggins does, is inspiring. He believes that fighters who embrace discipline show something deeper than athletic ability. They show mastery over their own impulses. He pushed back on the idea that fighters who say they don't care what others think are being honest. According to Rogan, most people absolutely care, whether the response is criticism or praise. He argued that individuals are often motivated by what others project, their positivity, ambition, and standards. People fuel one another, and seeing others live with discipline can push an athlete to sharpen their own habits. For Rogan, the main question is not whether Chimaev is talented enough. That has already been proven. The real test is whether he can maintain the discipline required to stay champion when the entire division is preparing to break him. Josh Thompson has reignited the heavyweight conversation by predicting that the UFC will book Alex Pereira versus Cyril Gane for an interim heavyweight title in early 2026. With Tom Aspinall recently revealing that his eye injury is severe and that he will be sidelined for an extended period, Thompson believes the timing makes perfect sense for the division. The UFC suddenly needs movement at the top, and Pereira has emerged as the biggest available name. Meanwhile, Gane is coming off a no-contest title shot of his own, which puts him right back into position for a high-stakes matchup if the UFC decides to move forward with an interim belt. Thompson pointed out that the schedule also supports the idea. Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje is already locked in for late January, meaning there is space for one major card before it. A Pereira versus Gane interim title fight fits perfectly in that slot and would likely do massive pay-per-view numbers. Stylistically, the matchup would be one of the most compelling fights the division has ever seen, two elite strikers meeting at heavyweight on a global stage. Gane remains the slickest and most fluid mover the division has produced, light on his feet, masterful at distance management, and notoriously difficult to corner. But Pereira brings something Gane has never faced in his career: devastating, precise knockout power from both hands that can end a fight instantly. Nothing is officially announced yet, but the MMA world is already buzzing with anticipation, and many believe the signs are pointing toward the fight becoming reality. Thompson also expanded on the UFC's new broadcast direction under the Paramount and CBS deal. He suggested that Dana White's approach to the first televised cards is strategic rather than cautious. The UFC is placing fighters who draw numbers rather than stacking every marquee champion on a single night. With Islam Makhachev and Khamzat Chimaev both coming off recent fights, and Chimaev dealing with injury, Paddy Pimblett became the most reliable option for the debut card. Thompson went even further, stating that he believes Pereira vs. Gane will headline the first CBS event of the new TV deal. To him, the coincidences are too numerous to ignore. Jon Jones publicly saying that if he's not on the White House card, he'll move on to something else. Pereira and Gane repeatedly appearing face-to-face at recent events. And Aspinall's sudden medical shutdown. All the puzzle pieces point to the same outcome in Thompson's eyes. Pereira vs. Gane is the fight the UFC is preparing to make next. Rumors of a Ronda Rousey comeback to combat sports have intensified. Over recent months, Rousey has been sharing striking training footage on Instagram, which sparked speculation about a potential return. Now that speculation has escalated after boxing journalist Lance Pugmire reported that Rousey is in active negotiations to box two-time undisputed world champion Katie Taylor in 2026. Taylor holds a professional record of 25-1 and most recently defeated Amanda Serrano for the third time this past summer. Rousey has not competed since UFC 207 in 2016, where she was knocked out by Amanda Nunes in just 48 seconds. The MMA community largely believes a boxing return is a dangerous move for Rousey. Adam Martin argued that Rousey has no business being in a boxing ring. Mike Bohn called the idea crazy and questioned how any athletic commission could approve her to compete following her recent book tour in which she discussed concussion history. Aaron Bronsteter admitted he never expected it, and fans online were even more skeptical, saying Katie Taylor would overwhelm Rousey and that the matchup makes no competitive sense. For critics, the concern is less about hype and more about Rousey's long-term health. Merab Dvalishvili addressed the possibility of eventually moving up to the featherweight division and made it clear that the timing has to be right. He said he has no problem competing at 145 pounds in the future, but his current focus remains on his own weight class and the challenges immediately in front of him. He emphasized that he has a fight against Petr Yan next, and after that he wants to stay active and return in March against whoever is ready. His hope is to secure a spot on the White House event card, and once that opportunity is settled, he will evaluate his long-term plans. Dvalishvili explained that moving to featherweight depends not only on his own preparation but also on how the 145-pound division develops. He added that if the UFC asks him to move up, he is willing to do it. However, he repeated that right now he does not want to get ahead of himself or create unnecessary talk. He stated that he has enormous respect for Alexander Volkanovski as a fighter, a person, and a father, acknowledging how tough that challenge would be. For now, he intends to stay focused on his weight class and handle business one fight at a time.